Hello again, everyone. This is Ken Kibler, Director of Training and Client Business Support for eTruckBiz. We will get started shortly. All righty, it looks like the attendee list has leveled off. Once again, Ken Kibler, Director of Training and Client Business Support for eTruckBiz. Want to thank everybody for joining us during these trying weather times that are hitting majority of the country. Got some very, very good topics today that are pertinent to everybody across the volume as this weather impacts directly a big portion of the country, but it also will then impact every operator in the country. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Jeff Walzak. If you have any questions, this will be very interactive today. Please put them in the chat or the Q&A. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Ken. And just like the weather, our slides are a little screwed up here today. I need to remind you that eTruckBiz is not sponsored or endorsed or anything else by FedEx Corporation. There we go. We're here to make your business simple. Okay, let's look at the volume report from last week. So if you look at the pickup volume on the vans, the stops are hanging in there about the same as they were this time last year, but maybe a little bit under where we were last year. Pickup packages, though, that's not too good. Packages per stop, there's less than there were last year at this time. And the pickup packages, at least on the vans, was down 10.37% from where it was last week, even. So that's really not good. The vans picking up packages, that's not a good sign. Come over here to the delivery side, delivery volume, and that's really not good. The delivery volume, now this doesn't represent the Snowmageddon week here. This is before that. Delivery stops are down 10.7%, even before all the other craziness happened. Same thing with packages, down about 10.5%. So that's not really good. And in productivity, while it remained steady, it didn't get worse, but it didn't get worse at a bad level. That's not good. So, and that's going to factor into what we're going to talk about here today. Any comment there, Ken, before we go on to anything else?
Yeah, I mean, as volume dips, you have got to right size your operation because it only gets more challenging when the weather gets thrown in there. So encourage you, please look at your historical data. Your drivers are coming off a peak where they were performing at what I think we hit 115 stops per dispatch. Now we're down almost 20 stops per dispatch. They have the capability of performing at that level. Encourage you when the conditions are right, you got to put the work on your drivers. Otherwise, you're going to see your profit margins deteriorate and they will deteriorate very quickly. And you can't afford it because you're going to have a week like this. We're going to talk about how this is going to roll into even next week. So you got to make that hay on the weeks where you can because there's going to be difficult weeks like this.
Tell you what, so there's some things going on. Ken's talked about it, whatnot, but if you were on our IQ programs, you'd have some help with some different things we're going to talk about here real quick. The first thing we're going to talk about, actually, I'm not going to talk about it. Seneca, who's in charge of our Budget IQ program, she's going to tell you that about something else that's going on here.
Hello, everybody. When there is weather and you're not able to deliver on a given day, you have to make that up the next day. We have these volumes dropping, the FRO is inconsistent, but we have an example here of what happens. So, say you have two stops and two packages, those are split up between 2 days. So, we're making this as simple as possible just to show you what happens. So you would go out Monday, Tuesday, have one stop each day. Your total revenue is $5.30. What happens when Monday is a snow day? Everything's closed. Tuesday, you're going to go back out with those same packages. They don't go away, but now you're going to deliver them at one time. So you're getting paid for one stop as a makeup. You're not getting back that stop charge that you would have had on Monday. So you can see here in this very simple example how that can reduce your revenue just by missing that day. You're not getting that extra stop pay. Now, compound this to how many stops you actually have, and you could see how much revenue you're losing just because of the weather and having to make up add those packages onto stops that you're doing that next day. You're not getting that stop revenue back.
That's something that most folks don't think about. You know, it's hard. You're in the middle of a snow issue and all kinds of stuff closed and all kinds of difficulties. There's lots of weeds and you're down in them when that's happening. But got to think about what's happening to the financial side of the business when there's a snow impact. And in this particular example here, that's a 41% drop in revenue.
That's huge. And if you're scrambling and the average driver, you may not want to do double the packages for the same amount of pay, but you're already losing money. Even if you send that driver out with double packages, you're going to be losing money. As you can see here, you're losing the revenue. So this is not a time where you want to throw extra people on or a helper or a bonus, because that money is just compounding to the problem that's already there. So it is a tough situation. We understand that. There is a solution for these problems. We can help you, as Jeff noted, with Budget IQ. That's how you can keep an eye on your daily dispatch yield. That you have to look at it granularly each day. What should I be doing? Where am I losing money? How can I improve? And with Budget IQ, we do show you that on a daily basis where you need to make improvements and where things are good.
All right. So there's the financial impact that a lot of folks don't take into account, but what they do worry about, of course, is all the different things that and Ken and Bob, I hope, have a few tips for us to not get into the
Because
crapper.
I think in retail they call that shrinkage. And that's what's happening with your revenue here. I go back to last year. Carrie and I were doing a negotiation with a guy out in the Pacific Northwest who, guess what? They get shut down by weather, and he had calculated how many days they got shut down by weather, and he lost 30% of his stop pay in the peak season or during the winter season because of the closures of the building. 30% of the stop pay disappeared. Packages don't necessarily disappear. So what do you have to do? You've got to plan for that bulk. That means if you have a bulk truck, you got to maximize a bulk truck. What it means also is, oh, I have a cleanup route to do that. Well, your cleanup route, chances are they're just taking large packages and they're going out there unprofitable. We talk about stops per dispatch all the time, but you also have to look at how many delivered packages am I averaging per dispatch. Got some customers in Huntsville there that are averaging 219 delivered packages per dispatch. I've seen them up to as high as 236. But when I see people, oh, my vans are cubed out, and they're only averaging 135 delivered packages per dispatch, do you have the right equipment? Or is that van really cubed out? People say, well, pay my drivers per stop so they don't want to do the bulk. Well, guess what? You're killing your own business there, because then you're running another truck to help that guy make more money when all he's doing is costing you money. So that would be, I understand bonuses. I understand sometimes pay per stop, but somebody's got to do that bulk, and it's best if it stays on the route where it is assigned. Large package routes are a killer. Cleanup routes are the death of a business. Bob, anything to add?
Yeah, and just because you're not in it per se, and the building's not closed, this affects everybody, especially this storm that just came through. It will affect everybody, and it will not come back until next week, probably mid next week, where you get your full volume load. Right now down in Florida, couple terminals, they're down 20%. Do we want to get everything out? Yes. Do we need to plan the same amount of routes? No, not unless you want to break them up and, divvy everything out in the morning, see what you got. Because I know the DRO is off. In Huntsville, terminal called to let everyone know, hey, we're not getting everything in. We're only getting a lot less than that. But anyways, a couple of our clients there, they came in around between 8 and 900 stops. Normally they're at 1,700. Their gross at 17, 1,800 between, or both of them. And they came in under half of that. And the terminal said, we're going to run one van, one trailer tomorrow. So where is the happy medium? But having people on standby, plan for the worst and hope for the best is not a bad thing. Where, if you've got extra volume, then you break the loads out. But don't run 16 routes when you should only be running 8. Communicate with the terminal and know what's going on. They've got to give you good information.
Yeah, if your facility was affected by weather, they don't expect you to be caught up the next day, which means they're going to be operating under a weather exemption. You're going to be operating under a weather exemption anyhow, so it's not going to affect your inbound local service. But, the efficiency, when you can get it, you have to drive it. Florida said, you're going to push your drivers a little bit. Said the one building that Bob mentioned down significantly, got a new customer down there, looked at it, sent drivers out with probably 85 stops. And I looked at 11 o'clock this morning. He had 75 of the 85 done already at 11 o'clock this morning. So guess what he should be doing this afternoon? He should be delivering, but he's probably going to be back in the building and maybe washing his car by 2. So, but we want to spread, move the work. And is it tough? Yes. Will people need to take off? Yes. But they got to understand it's going to come back eventually, but it's probably midweek next week before you see that volume. And as I said, if your building was shut down, stops are going to disappear. You will lose 30% of those stops because they will marry up with packages coming in the next day for the same stop. And then once again, that revenue decreases by 41%. Jeff, anything to add?
No, it's just, FedEx what are they worried about? The volume.
Getting every package delivered the day it gets unloaded.
Right. There is no thought process at all about your costs, right? You as a contractor, they're not worried about that. They're just going to try to push you to get everything done that you can get done, and that's great. Well, unfortunately, you've got to think about the financial impacts of all that, and that's hopefully what we're trying to raise a little bit of awareness about. Just be careful with what you're doing because it's going to cost a ton later.
It's a perfect storm that can be financially disastrous if you're not watching and controlling what you can control.
Okay.
And if you are a 2.0, real quick, bring somebody in at noon, 1 o'clock on a day like today. That way they can do the late stuff. Because obviously now we're going to have guys out there just doing nothing, waiting around for pickups, the drop boxes and stuff at 5 or 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And that's not good either. Look and bring somebody in noon, 1 o'clock, and if there is extra, then they can take that out, then help do some pickups, and maybe shuttle some packages out to some other drivers that are out there yet that are getting ready to almost be done. So get creative with it. Getting creative and being wrong is a lot better than being wrong right from the get-go. Chances are you're going to save some by doing a few things like this.
Okay, so speaking of doing something wrong, so we're at about 4 or 5 days away from Saturday, I think. Well, what's going on Saturday? PackageRoute's going to sunset on Saturday. Hopefully, everybody is keenly aware of this. So we want to talk about some couple of strategies here. What can we do about this, right? So on January 31st, PackageRoute is set to go dark. That means on February 1st, PackageRoute isn't just ending support, it's going dark, as we just said. No maps, no manifest, no driver data. Thousands of contractors are being herded toward a single expensive alternative because they feel they have no other choice. Today, we're going to give you that choice back. Contractors hate being told they have to do anything. The forced migration trap is real. If you wait until the last minute, you could fall into analysis paralysis. You end up defaulting to the most expensive software on the market, which erodes your margins. More importantly, you end up with another siloed data app that doesn't help you run your business. It just helps your driver find a house or allows that driver to drive more miles than they should be. So to make the right choice, we need to take the emotion out of it. We can use a weighted decision matrix to do so. As you see from the formula down here, your total score for software shouldn't just be, does the map work and do the drivers like it? It should be a calculation of wait times, rating scores for specific business pillars. This is how sophisticated operations choose their vendors, and it's how you should likely choose yours. So let's try to figure this out. What am I talking about here? So you take 4 categories and give them a weight. So cost efficiency would be 40% weight, migration friction 20%, network 2.0 20%, and an ecosystem 20%. Each one of those categories represents something to think about with these different options out there. So let's see how this could go. So if I were doing this today, I would rate each one of these options, eTruckBiz in the BOSS or business operations support software, GroundCloud, Beans, and Velocer. So as far as cost efficiency, and we're going to look at that here in a second, cost efficiency, there's no question about it. eTruckBiz and the BOSS score a 5, 5 out of 5. GroundCloud 1, because guess what? It's expensive. Beans, okay, not too bad expensive, but still not as good as eTruckBiz. And Velocer is up there with GroundCloud as far as cost goes. Migration friction,
Driver resistance.
that's one thing, but there's another big thing, big issue.
Veter.
That's one of them as well, although we have a solution for that. It's the stop notes, moving the stop notes from one thing to another. So eTruckBiz boss, we have a way to help you with that, but that's with scores of 2. GroundCloud magically can somehow get the stop notes from PackageRoute, and you don't do anything about it. They can't give them to you, but they can sure get them out of that PackageRoute and get them over into their application. How about that? Beans and Velocer have the same issue without being able to get the stop notes out of PackageRoute. Network 2.0 support. Without question, everybody that is in eTruckBiz or anywhere in our systems, they all are raving about all the Network 2.0 support things, including what's going to be dispatch IQ and some other things, and the way we handle time definites, same day on calls, the whole shoot match. It's by far the best way to handle any kind of Network 2.0 issues. GroundCloud has its ways of doing things, and that scores a 3. Beans, not so much, and Velocer, I don't know if anybody really knows if there's anything that they've done any different for Network 2.0 or not. Now, ecosystem has to do with what other things other than just routing does the different systems have. The whole thing has many more things than anybody else has. GroundCloud scores a 2, Beans not so much, a 1, and Velocer, yes, they have scanners, but that's that. So the total decision matrix results, or the scores that we would come up with based on what we looked at on the previous slide. So eTruckBiz scores 4.4, GroundCloud 2.4, Beans 2.2, and Velocer 1.4. I would challenge you to do your own weighted decision matrix, but there you go. There's our results. Any questions there, Ken?
No questions yet. So,
Hey, I would just let everyone know, unless you got more than 48 time definite packages, my gosh, our system's so much easier to use because you can scroll up and down. You can sort by times. GroundCloud, each page holds 16, and you've got to thumb to the next page, next page, next page. And I've got a client between all their businesses, they're looking at 700-800 time definites between all their CSAs, and they've got to keep scrolling, or not scrolling, paging over. But if you got 300 divided by 16, that's 32, 10. It's a lot of pages, 20 some pages.
19 to be exact.
So there you go.
All
That's
right.
just one FYI.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, that's on all those different criteria, but when I look at it another way, the introductory pricing for eTruckBiz, again, it blows everything else out of the water. Payroll, all kinds of other things are included. Some have extra costs for different things. Again, eTruckBiz comes in under the FedEx standard budget allocation. Of course, GroundCloud exceeds budget. Everybody else is kind of neutral. There's no question in our mind which way you would want to go with this. Will GroundCloud raise their prices after the integration is completed? I don't know. We don't know that. It's just something to think about. So, long story short, if you start playing with some math, and if you go to the eTruckBiz page on eTruckBiz.com, you'll see that there's a calculator there, and you can put in your own particular situation. But as you start putting in the different situations, you're going to see how much real money you're going to start to save by using eTruckBiz over some of the other alternatives. There's another way of looking at this, how much you can save. Saving 43% on something usually would tell you, well, you want to watch your labor as a percent of revenue and your fuel, but concentrate on your large expenses first, because that's where you're going to move the needle. Well, in this case, you don't have to necessarily spend extra money that you don't have to spend, right? So there's that.
So obviously eTruckBiz is the best choice by far, and there's many reasons. So as Jeff just pointed out, you're going to be paying way less for the mapping, but it's also going to kind of be the front door, if you will, to the eTruckBiz business growth and support system, which includes the budget IQ, performance IQ, and admin IQ programs. So basically the eTruckBiz data that is going to feed into these programs that you are enrolled in if you choose to have any of those. But for a BC or an AO, it's not just saving money using this, it's also about saving, I think it's on average about 25 hours of manual office work every single week just by using these programs. So eTruckBiz, yeah, sure, we're saving money, that's great, and it's getting the job done, helping your drivers, but if you are on any of these programs, we're going to save you a ton of time as well, and stress and everything that comes along with it within these programs. So here is our onboarding roadmap so that you are all ready to go come February 1st. So right now what we would do is if you would sign up for eTruckBiz, this is kind of like a countdown. So today on day 5, you're going to sign up for eTruckBiz. day 4 through 3, we are going to enter in all of your trucks, your drivers, your history data. By day 2, we would want you to have eTruckBiz as the data sharing provider in your MyGroundBiz account. And then come February 1st, go ahead and take off running with eTruckBiz, dispatch with a protected margin. So we have it all panned out for you. We have the steps and the timeline. We can help with this as well. And here is one of our clients, Mike. He is a multi-station owner with 32 drivers, and he was paying $1,100 per month on routing software. So he says, switching during the sunset phase felt risky at first, but the eTruckBiz had my data moved in 24 hours. I'm now saving over $6,500 a year. That's essentially a free bonus for my top driver, funded entirely by switching software. So he turned a software expense into a driver retention tool, and that is how a CEO thinks, which is a perfect point of that. So don't take our word for it, take Mike's. And we are holding an eTruckBiz demo this Thursday, January 29th at 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central. We will send some emails with the link on that. If you want to get a link to sign up, you can go to our website is eTruckBiz, but you can go ahead and just shoot me an email, becca@etruckbiz.com, and I'll make sure that you get that link and the invite and you're all good to go. Or any questions in general, even if you have one right now and you want to type it in the chat, feel free to do that. But that is when our next demo will be. Anything to add, anyone?
Nope. And also, there's plenty of videos and whatnot on YouTube if you want to go on there and see that. I don't know, Ken, if you got any other questions.
Doesn't look like we got any questions. Just to reiterate, easy route there. eTruckBiz is here to make your business simple. We can get you converted to stop that resistance, to reduce the resistance on the change from your drivers, and save you a lot of money in that process. Kind of reiterate what was said earlier. Planning will be tough this week. Volume will be down all week and into next week. But plan aggressively. Your drivers are used to handling the volume because they're still conditioned with peak. Put the stops on the truck so you can make the money for the weeks where it makes it difficult to make the money with if your operation is shut down, it's hard to make a lot of money. Yeah, you're going to get that same fixed settlement, but that's not going to make up for days of lost revenue and for losing 30% of your stop pay. So there are no questions. I want to thank everybody for being here. Please keep your drivers safe during this difficult weather time, because those accidents still count if you go on the road. So reiterate the importance of the safe driving techniques. Keep a lot more space in between their vehicle and the vehicles surrounding them, and be safe so they can get back to the station each and every day. So we will be back here next Tuesday. Hopefully a bunch of you will sign up for the eTruckBiz demo on Thursday, and we'll talk to you then. Please have a safe and profitable week. Thank you very much.